This is a video about how to cite works from databases. Now, a lot of the things that we talked about in the last video will still hold here in terms of citing websites, but the first step to citing a database article or something from a database is to figure out what it was originally. Now, this is going to be the most tempting thing to click on, but most cases, this is not the right thing to click on. A database, remember we said, is like Costco. They don't usually make their own things, they just source it from other places and then sell it to you. So you're going to find out that most of your stuff probably originally came from a journal, a magazine, a newspaper, a book, or a reference article. And I'm just trying to expand so you can see reference article. It's not happening right now. A reference source. I'm going to do a quick overview of what those things are for you so that you can tell the difference when you're citing. Of course, you can ask me for help too. Journals and magazines and newspapers are all periodicals. That means they come out every so often. Journals are going to look like this in your citations. They're going to tend to be about 10 pages long usually. They're going to have kind of developed titles, like you'll see pretty long titles for most journal articles. When you look at the citation, you're going to see a volume and issue number. Sometimes the title will have the word journal right in it or review, and those are good clues that you have a journal. Same as quarterly, those are good clues that that's what you have. Sometimes you don't. Gender and History is the name of a journal, but it clearly doesn't say journal of in that. And if you're not sure, you can use these other clues. You can look and see if it has a volume and issue number. That's probably that it's a journal. If it's about 10 pages or more, it's probably a journal rather than like a magazine. And if you're still not sure, you can Google this title and the word journal and see if Wikipedia says it's a journal, and that's a good way to tell. If you have a newspaper article, some things are going to look similar in the citations and some things are going to look different. So this is from the same database, right? But here, these are just journal articles, right? But this is a newspaper article. You'll see it's a lot shorter. It tends to be more for the common people rather than something that only experts could read and understand. Here you'll notice it has a specific day and date rather than journals, which usually just have a month and year or just a year. So that's a good way to tell the difference as well. You can also find out whether this thing is a journal or a newspaper by either Googling it, like I said before. Sometimes databases even have a little link inside so that you can tell. So if you didn't know that the Globe and Mail was a Canadian newspaper just by looking at its logo or by hearing about it, you can see on this information page. Now, this one doesn't say newspaper. Usually it does. Let's see. Oh, yeah, there we go. If I click more, source type newspapers. And you can find that out there. But you could have certainly Googled that and found that out as well. So right now we've figured out how to tell if something is a journal, how to tell if something is a newspaper, if it has a specific day and date. If you see a specific city, usually that's an indication that there's a newspaper happening. And as well, if you look up the name of the publication and the word newspaper and it says it's a newspaper. In addition, a reference source might be a popular piece of source type for you guys. If that's the case, a lot of times it will say the word reference or encyclopedia in the citation. Or somewhere near the list of articles. So I'll go back to my search results so you guys can see. And this particular database lists that it was a reference article, or sometimes it'll say encyclopedia, but sometimes it won't. So if you aren't sure, you can click on the citation to click on the link for the article. Go down to the citation and see what our clues are here. If we don't see volume and issue, if we don't see specific day and date, then it's probably a book or an encyclopedia. And then you can just look this up and see if this title looks like an encyclopedia from what you're seeing there. Probably if it's big, broad information, and you see an italicized title, then that's what it's going to be. So it's a reference source or an encyclopedia. Hope this helps. All right, thanks guys.